When I present Argo, it's easy to call it a VTT. I get it. I was doing that myself for a long time. It's a digital tool. You invite friends, you launch a campaign, you play online. But the more we advance in the development, we realize that we are building something to solve different issues. So the best way to describe it is that Argo is an RPG platform, the whole ecosystem. And then we have a desktop app that is an RPG engine. Why Argo? Why building it? Why using it? Why using yet another digital tool? Each one may have a different reason for that. You may think you don't, but I'm not satisfied with the solution that out there. I find myself with too much clicking, too much going to the menus, too much mistakes that I do because things are not connected. I was selecting a different target and I went to something and the game just becomes slow. I struggle a little bit with that answer because it's very clear for me why I want something different from what is out there. I saw a video this week with Matthew Colville explaining why they're doing their own VTTs. And I kind of like it. I'm going to put the link in the description below. And I'm going to steal a little bit of his answer. It aligns a lot with what we believe Argo should do. And it's about the rules. Then the tool that you're using, the software that you're using, it should be knowing the game that you play. No experience will match that feeling, that things are connected and not just a layer sitting on top of another layer. I like to describe Argo as a platform around 3 pillars. The first pillar is to help the game happens. Life is messy, people are busy, it's different to handle different priorities and motivate everyone to play the same thing at the same time. Argo has a web application to help with that. Not only to organize your group of friends, the schedule, but also the campaign. Having the lore over there accessible at any time, whenever you want. So your game master can do the resume of the previous session to motivate the players to go to the next one. The second pillar is about preparing for the game. Preparing should be creative, not administrative. Argo gives the game master and the players the tools to shape their worlds faster. From editing the terrain, procedural generation of dungeons, character creation and character evolution, everything should be intuitive and easy as possible. We also have like a marketplace to share user-generated content. So the maps that you create can be shared with other people, you can sell over there, you can buy from other people, and you can just jump into the story whenever you need. Everything is inside the same ecosystem and connected. The third pillar is about session flow. This is where the desktop app becomes something more than a generic virtual tabletop. Argo knows the rule, knows the game that you play. It tracks the resources in real time. It handles the line of sight, the fog of war, the light, the visibility. It measures the distances and reach. It keeps the interaction model readable and consistent across multiple systems. And it's designed so the game master always has the final say. That's why we decided to use the term RPG engine instead of virtual tabletop. We don't want a place to display a session. We want a tool that understands the game. How does it work? At a higher level, all your campaign data lives in the Argo platform. Your character, your lore, your nodes, your maps, everything is there in the clouds. It's synchronized. It is accessible by the web browser. It's accessible by the desktop application. Everything is shared. And when it's time to play, the desktop app runs the live session. So you could say, what's the difference between this and a VTT? There is a key architectural decision that we did from the start. Traditional VTTs are developed in a way that the core system runs in the bottom, and then they have a game system runs as a layer on top of that. The communication between those are limited. Most of the time you have the game layer telling the core layer to roll dice and to get the results, and then tells you what the result means. The core Argo engine talks to each one of the games through a defined interface. Each of that rule set implements that interface in its own way. That means that Argo doesn't just know that you click at something. It can ask the game system what it needs to interact with that object. It can ask the rule set, what can I do with it? Let's take a simple example, a door. In a traditional generic tool, a door is mostly just an object in the map, and players and game master can interact with it. right? But in Argo, interaction becomes rules aware. So the engine is going to ask the game system, what does the player can do with this door? And then Argo display a menu around that object in the map. It knows your character. It knows the door. It knows what you can do with it. You just need to click there. You don't need to go to another place. You don't need to open your character sheet. You don't need to open a menu. You just interact with the door. This sounds small, but it's actually a fundamental change in the way you play. You shouldn't go to your character sheet to interact with the map. You click on the map, and the map should know what your character can do with it. That's the vision. That's the why, what, and how of Argo. It's an ambitious project, but one we know we can deliver. But we need your help. We want to build a team with people with a lot of experience, people that we know from the past, people that we work with. We need to take them out of their day jobs to dream over here, to dream with us, to build Argo. We're going to be soon launching a Kickstarter campaign for that, and I hope we have your support. In the next videos, we're going to be showing what we have done and what we plan to do. Less of my face and more of in-game features. Thank you very much.